Hi, my name is Susan Stofflet, and I am here today to talk to you about Chapter 9, Teachers Talk About Race, Class, and Achievement by Delvin Dinkins. So the objectives for you are to understand the systematic ways in which the researcher looks closely at his own practice, to recognize the theory behind the practice and study, and to understand how other teachers, researchers, writers have influenced his thinking. So let's start with question number 1. What are the systematic ways in which Delvin Dinkins looks closely at his own practice? I thought it was really interesting that he has a very unique background and that he's able to understand more closely, probably, from an African American's point of view. He started off as basically a high school teacher, which led to a position of an elementary school principal. He was also a high school assistant principal, dean of high school academic program, and an adjunct professor at the university level. He drew on traditions of qualitative research methods and, perhaps more importantly, his knowledge of the context to report about, as well as to try to understand the conversations that took place with the academic achievement group, which collectively came together to better understand what was happening within the black community of a primarily white suburban school. Dinkins chose to focus on teachers because of his experience as an educator in the setting and because of the black community's implication of teachers as critical factors in their children's underperformance. He collected data through conversations, inquiry, and reflection. He attended meetings as a group member, observer, and facilitator. He viewed himself as a collector of stories and perspectives. What is the theory behind the study? A social constructivism approach is primarily Dinkins' theory behind the study, which includes social, cultural, and historical factors that play a part in cognitive development. Dinkins borrowed from Catherine Owl's explanation of the achievement gap, and the goal is to improve culturally responsive instruction. Culturally responsive teaching has a goal of instruction for students of diverse backgrounds to increase school success, create a link between school's home and social experiences, recognize that students must first be competent within their own culture, and while educators focus on equality of educational outcomes and celebration of diversity, students can be successful. What other teachers, researchers, writers have influenced his thinking? Well, on a local level, studying how teachers talked about race, class, and achievement and how their language evolved and took shape was of critical importance to the school community and to the wider conversation about the achievement gap. No doubt all of this springs from the Equal Opportunity Act of 1974, which recognizes that every child can maximize his or her individual potential through opportunities.